Brittany. So today I'm gonna do a tag video, and it's gonna be the 10 for 10 tag. And my friend Martin, as you know him as a trash picture show, he tagged me in this, and what I have to do is pick 10 of my favorite movies from each genre. Um, and to be honest, that's what I had to do. And honestly, I have a lot of favorite movies. I pretty much have now about like 57 favorite movies. But it's not gonna stop there because my favorite movies just gonna keep growing. Like the more like those movies I haven't seen, and for those do turn out to be my favorites, then of course that will just keep growing. But for the moment, I had to pick at least 10 favorite movies from each genre, and that in a way was hard to do because, like I said, I have a lot of favorite movies, so trying to pick at least one for a specific genre, I felt like it was hard for me to decide because I thought instead of picking just one, why not pick maybe two or three? you know, so, but no, I thought, okay, just try to pick one, and I did. So I have the list here on my phone. So, um, anyway, and for any of you who want to do this tag, feel free to do so. And I actually love doing tag videos because they're fun, and it's just another way of getting to know that person, of anything things they like, or just about anything, so it is fun to do. But it's like I said, so here are the genres I picked and which ones that are actually my favorites of that genre. But like I said, it was hard to pick only just one because it's like I have more than just one favorite from these genres. Like I have at least maybe a bit more than just one. So I'm gonna start off with number one is Western. Now I haven't seen a lot of favorite. I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. My mind is wandering off. I haven't seen a lot of Western movies, but I have seen a few, and the one favorite Western movie that I have, I think the only one that I have right now, and that's Tombstone. And Tombstone is just a really great Western movie. And if you haven't seen it, like, you have to. You really have to. And for those who have seen it, you know what I'm talking about because we've all seen it. And for those who haven't, you should. But it is great. Like, everything. And the cast is, it's just great. Like, I know, like, that, who directed the movie and who cast these really great actors for their roles is just amazing. Like, Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp and Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday, like, they did amazing. And like I said, this is like the only Western movie that I actually grew up with watching as a young kid. And even though I may not have understood the story and what was going on in the movie, but I still consider it like, wow, like this is a good movie. And so yeah, I just loved it. But of course, as I got older, I actually understood it more. I'm like, wow, I had no idea this was going on. And considering that was something that was going on at that time. So, but yes, it's just a really great Western movie, and everything and how they did it with the story, the characters, and considering that it takes place, in in the Old West in Tombstone, like it gives you that feeling that you're there. So yes, it's just very convincing, so well done, and yes, I have to say, it's just that's like my only favorite Western movie that I have at the moment. But if I were to watch any other Western movies, I might have, maybe in the future there might be a bit more, but as for now, this one is my favorite. And let's see. Okay, and two, my favorite action movie is Twister. And yes, I have some favorite action movies, but I decided to go with Twister because um, I know maybe for those who probably would choose action, they would probably go with either action superhero movies or maybe some others that are maybe, I'm sorry, excuse me. I know there are some that would go with those who are like very popular right now at the moment, but I go with Twisters because it's an action and adventure movie, and it's just great because it's also like a bit intense in a way because of the tornadoes, and you know it gives you that, it really does give you that action um, feeling to it when you're watching it, because these are the storm chasers, and they're trying to chase the tornadoes, but of course they're doing that because they're trying to put this, I don't know what you call it. It's not a tank, but these like bins with things in it, and they're trying to put it into the tornado so that way they can know how a tornado really works. And to be honest, I think that's quite clever of that part in the movie with the story. Like, I never heard of anything like that before, but in the movie, I'd say that is real clever. Like, smart move. And yeah, it's just a really good, just a action movie to watch over and over again. And the cast is great, and like Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton are just great with their roles in this movie, and yeah, it's just my favorite. Now, considering in real life tornadoes are horrible, they're terrifying, but as for this movie, it's my favorite action movie, even though the tornadoes are are something to be scared about, not just both in the movie and for real. So it's like, you don't want to go near one because that would just be horrible. Yes, it's just a really great action movie. Okay. But yeah, for those who have seen it, you know how good Twister is, and those who haven't seen it, please watch it. And now adventure. My favorite adventure movie is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I go with that one because it's just a really good movie, and it has a really great story to it, and the cast, and I have to say it's like one of the best Indiana Jones sequels out there. And yes, I do like the first. I do like Temple of Doom, but although, for those who probably may not know, Temple of Doom is not actually a sequel, because when I looked it up, it said it was more of a prequel, meaning that story of that time takes place first before Raiders of the Lost Ark. So that's what I just read. But yeah, the Last Crusade is definitely my favorite. But I will say this with the whole, I just want to be honest, but the one thing I don't like about it though is the whole, I mean, I know what time it takes place, like what time period it takes place, but the only thing that makes me feel uncomfortable is the fact that, of course, they mention and they show like Nazis. Yeah, that's the one thing I do not like seeing, and seeing what they were doing and things they did in the movie. And of course, I know there's just actors playing their parts in the movie, but the fact that of just that itself, the whole Nazi thing that like uh in the movie, that I don't like. But of course it does show like a really good story, and of course it shows how the bad guys, you know, they fall. They completely lost, and how the good guys, Indiana Jones and his father, like they actually bond, and they actually got closer. And with them, it's like he, with those two and with some other characters along the way, they pretty much won. So yeah, I do like the meaning of it, and the story to it, the characters. So yeah, that I like. But yes, it is a good adventure movie, and I just love it because it does give you that adventure feeling to it. It does. It feels like you're on for a ride, and it's like you may not know what to expect, but you better hang on, because you don't know what you're gonna run into. Okay, so now I have how many? One, two. I have like 7 left here. And I'm gonna look up on something here. Okay, sorry. Had to. Alright, sorry about that. I just wanted to check on something. So, and for those who may not have seen this, but my favorite drama movie is Hamlet. The 1996 version of Hamlet, the one with Kenneth Branagh, because he directed it, I believe he produced it, and he also plays the main character himself, Hamlet. And now, when it came to choosing a drama movie, it was hard to pick because I wanted to go with A Few Good Men, because that one, as much as I'm trying to get my words out, as much as it is a good movie, a good drama movie, at the same time I thought, well, like A Few Good Men might be a very easy, obvious choice. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I love the movie. I do. It's also one of my favorite drama movies. But I had to go with Hamlet because, as for those you may not know, I love poetry. I love William Shakespeare and the plays he wrote. And I haven't read or seen all of them, but I have read at least probably a couple. But yes, Hamlet, on the other hand, as I say, is one of my favorite plays that Shakespeare wrote. It's so dramatic, and it's tragic at the end, and it's also like, oh man, how do I describe it? Like, there's so much going on, and all that. But yes, this version of Hamlet, the 1996 version, is just great. Like, everything about it, and it's actually, believe it or not, it is 4 hours long. So it's actually longer than Titanic, which that I'm gonna be mentioning later. But yeah, that is 4 hours. 4 hours. And but yes, I just had to go with Hamlet because, like I said, it's just a great play that Shakespeare wrote. You know, everything, the story, the characters, and all these things are going on in the story, and everything, like it really pulls you in. And for those who may not really be into Shakespeare and the plays he wrote, and for those who just may not be into it, I understand. That's okay. You know, Shakespeare's plays aren't for everybody. I understand, but as for me, I do because I understand. You know, it's like I I understand the language of um of that. You know, I do. I understand the old English, the old the Shakespearean language in his plays. So I understand that, and it's just very interesting, but at the same time it's fascinating, and it's just those things that really pulls you in, and then somehow you can't help but to want to know more, like what's gonna happen next, and somehow you're hoping for the best, but then things don't turn out the way you hoped it would because it ends up being so intense and very dramatic, and sometimes, maybe not sometimes, but I think most of the time it leads to such tragic events throughout his plays, and it's like, okay, that was uncalled for, like. But anyway, yeah, this movie is just great, and everyone who did their roles in this movie did amazing, and I just loved watching their performances and seeing the story of Hamlet coming to life in that version of Hamlet. And Kenneth Branagh did an amazing job directing this movie and playing the main character himself. And yes, of course, this story itself is also was inspired by The Lion King as well, because you can see some similarities, although there are certain things that happen in the story that you would not see in The Lion King at all, you know. And I can see why, and I understand why. So yeah, yeah. Although, I mean, for those who are Shakespearean fans, and if you ever want to see this version of Hamlet, I highly recommend it. To me, it's like one of the best versions of Hamlet, the story. So yes, it's just amazing. And to be honest, I remember the very first time I actually watched it was when I was actually a senior in high school, and I was in my English class, and my teacher, she rented out the movie, and she would play the movie like before the bell rings, before going home. And so I remember, of course, watching different parts since it was like 4 hours. But each time I was watching it, I was like really into it. And then by the time the bell would ring and she would stop the movie and it would be time to go home, I'm like, no, like, I really like this movie. I want to know what happens next. And of course, by the time we got to the very end, it was so sad. I actually got, I felt very sad, and I wanted to cry a little bit because I couldn't. I was in class, so I didn't, but I did feel very sad. I won't say what happens. For those who want to check out the movie, I won't spoil it for you, you know, but, yeah. I mean, other than that, it's my favorite version of my favorite play of that Shakespeare wrote, and it's just the best. And oh gosh, this is going on for at least, what the, I'm sorry if you had to see that. There's a little bug in here. There's a gnat in here. Cause yeah, as I was just saying how this video is going on a bit long, for at least 20 minutes or so. I'm so sorry. So just when I was about to say that, all of a sudden the gnat comes in, just starts flying right in front of me and right past me, and I'm like, ugh, I hate bugs. Oh my gosh. Seriously, I do. Like, I don't want anything to fly near me when I'm trying to do this video. And I apologize if you try to see me whack a bug, but that's because I'm trying to do this tag here. But anything, so yeah. So I have some here left. Let's see. So my favorite romance movie is, now I don't have that many, but the only one that's my favorite is no, actually there are some that are my favorite, but those are also two different genres as well. But this one I would say Titanic. And yes, I know what you're probably thinking, that I just mentioned Hamlet, but yes, Kate Winslet, she played Ophelia in that version of Hamlet that I just mentioned, but of course she's in Titanic. So yeah, and also Bill Paxton, who was in Twister, he's in Titanic as well. So yeah, but yes, that's my favorite romance movie, Titanic. Now, even though it's so like, even though it's like this disaster, drama, romance film at the same time, like, I have to say I just love the love story to this movie because it just shows how two people are different, and yet somehow they happen to meet and they happen to fall in love. And yes, I know what you're thinking, that with Rose, she was engaged, and that's like, how can she possibly fall in love with someone else when she was engaged? Well, the thing is, when you really think about it, and when you see her fiance's actions in the movie and the things he says, he doesn't quite seem the okay, he just doesn't really seem the kind of person where she would really marry her, where she would marry to, because he was mean, and he didn't really seem the kind that would really like make her smile or just make her feel really happy, you know, none of that. So yeah, so you know, like I said, I just love the love story to Titanic, but of course of what really did happen in real life is just horrible. It's so tragic and heartbreaking. It really is. And of course, as it shows it in the movie, it's same thing. It's horrible, and it's just heartbreaking even to see it in the movie. Like, it's so intense, and even when it comes to that part in the movie, I even feel I feel anxious. I get tense, and I'm like, I'm not ready for this. Like even though I know what happens because I've seen it so many times, but still, I still get that anxious, feeling, and where I just tense up, and I'm just not ready for it. Because the love story to Titanic is romantic, but it's so sad because when it comes to the ending, of course she realizes that that he died, but knowing what he said to her to keep that promise, that even if she has to live her life without him, that she would keep going and to continue living her life and to do to do like to do her best and to not give up and to keep moving forward and do what she has to do no matter what, even if it means without him. And that is so heartbreaking. That that is just so sad to hear. And knowing how everyone, even in real life, how they lost a lot of loved ones is just really heartbreaking. And like I said, even to see that, seeing how it was so convincing in the movie is just really, really sad. And I'm sorry this video is going on a bit long, my gosh. But yes, the cast is amazing though, and Kate Winslet, I love her performance as Rose, and with Leonardo DiCaprio, I love his performance as Jack Dawson, and yes, I cry every time, at the end, especially when his character says his last words to her, and when he, oh man, I do not want to go there. I do not want to get teary-eyed right now. I really don't. Anyway, I have 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna try to make this short. If it's a bit longer, I'm so sorry. Okay. Moving on, so that way I won't keep this video on for so long. I'm sorry. My favorite sci-fi movie is Jurassic Park. And yes, now I do have at least a few favorite sci-fi movies, but I had to go with Jurassic Park. And I'm laughing because I know maybe those who might be watching this might expect to hear a different answer, but I'm sorry, I had to go with Jurassic Park. It's just a really great, sci-fi movie, and it has those intense parts here and there, especially with the dinosaurs. And I have to say it's just a really great sci-fi movie because of the fact that it was based on the book and it was brought to life by Steven Spielberg, and the way he directed it, and considering that Jurassic Park was the first CGI movie that came out, like, I have to say they did a good job with the movie, because not only was it the first CGI movie that came out at the time, but of course when it came to having the animatronics for the dinosaurs, it made it look very convincing. It does, because you can't even tell. It does look like the dinosaurs are back alive, just for that movie. Now of course, even though they're not, but they lived many years ago, like millions years ago, it's like, yet the way they did it is just so convincing. And the cast, I'm telling you, like, each favorite movie that I have, I just love the cast, because they all do such a good job on their parts in those different movies. But yes, even with Jurassic Park, the cast is amazing. And yeah, I have to say, yeah, I really love everything. I do every single thing. I love the part of the T-Rex, and my favorite dinosaur for sure. And yeah, like I said, it is a really great sci-fi movie because it shows something. If you do this one thing and it goes completely wrong, like, there's no going back on it. So it shows, this movie also sets a good example, showing to the audience, saying, this is the one thing you should never ever do. And yet these scientists were doing something that they shouldn't have, and they did. And because of that, the consequences were disastrous. And when I mean disastrous, I mean by when the dinosaurs got loose. Well, actually, the T-Rex, because the T-Rex was the one that got loose, and then the Velociraptors, because we don't see them until later. But yeah, it does show something you should never do, because when you do, you don't know what could happen, and it just shows something you should never do, because like I said, the consequences could be very bad, and then you would have to hold that, you would have to like hold that, where it's like, oh god, it's like it's kind of like you would hold that regret, and you would just feel like, oh man, like I should have listened, I should have never have done this, because it went way too far, and this is something that was not in my control. Like, I should have never done this. So yeah, it just goes to show that. But other than that, it is a good sci-fi movie, and it's just great. And yeah, everything about it is just great. Okay, now, my favorite horror movie, I would have to say, is in fact Scream. And the reason why I chose Scream is because this horror movie is unlike any other. It's unlike the Friday the 13th franchise, what else? A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's very different from Halloween as well. This is so different from that, and it's just has its own it has its own direction of horror in this movie, and with the story, the characters, and the perfect cast for these characters are just great. And of course it shows like the rules of what to do and not to do, and I think that was probably really great what they did, like of setting the rules, of horror movies, of the things you should never do. And so that I never actually knew about, but I remember the first time watching Scream, and then of course with Jamie Kennedy playing as Randy Meeks, which actually my favorite character in the movie. So when he mentioned the rules of what not to do and how to survive a horror movie, I won't mention those rules, but you probably know it for those who are fans. But yes, I have never known that, and the reason why, because I never watched as many horror movies before, and I thought, really, like, I didn't know there were rules. I didn't know that there were rules of what to do and things you should never do, because if you do these things, it always leads to a very horrible and very gruesome, brutal death, to any of the characters who broke any of those rules whatsoever. So I didn't even know about that. And of course, in the sequel, there's the rules of the sequel. So I didn't really know about that either, but that was very interesting. And it's like, now I know. Because it's like, well, now that I know those rules of the horror movie rules of what not to do, it's like now when I do watch a movie, now I keep that in mind. It's like, oh no, should have done it, because now something bad's gonna happen. But it's a good thing to know. You should know the rules of what you shouldn't do. Yes, like I said, with Wes Craven directing this movie the way he did, like I said, it had a whole different take and a whole new direction of horror movies. And I think that's when horror movies at that time, when Scream came out, that's when I think oh, what's the word for it? it really brought back the genre of horror because of how Scream did so well, and then after that you got these other movies after that, and even up until now. So yeah, it did a really good job. And yeah, I have to say, what I also like about this one is that yeah, there might be some graphic parks. No, parks. I'm sorry, I have Jurassic Park on the brain. I'm sorry. There, even though there might be some graphic parts, um, although there is a story to it, there are some really good characters that you can relate to and you feel personally attached to, and that I know because I do have some favorite characters. And yeah, there's just great character development, along with the story, and just, just everything about it turned out great. And yeah, it's just one of those really good horror movies that just was brought to life, um, in in the movie. And oh my, I'm so sorry. This is like 37 minutes long. Okay, I don't know why. Oh man, I think I know why. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to keep it real short here. If you don't mind it if it's this long, thank you. If Oh man, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Okay, I'll try to make this real quick, just so that way I won't keep being like going. That's just because I just have a lot to say and how much I love each of these movies, favorite movies of these genres. So I'm sorry if I can't help it. Like, I'm sorry. Um, 6. Now, this may not be a genre per se, but I have to say my favorite animation, but also favorite family movie is Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. And I know for those who are watching this, are probably watching this and thinking like, huh? Wait, Spirit, what? Spirit. Stallion of the Cimarron. Like, it, when you see it, you may assume it's a Disney movie. It's not. It's actually a traditional 2D animation but 3D animation combined, but it's still a really great animation movie. It's a family movie and it's a DreamWorks movie. um, yeah, I really love this movie because it's done so well, and the writer John Busco, he did such an amazing job writing this really great, wonderful movie, and it turned into this very amazing and beautiful movie. And I say that because I can personally relate to this movie. Now, for those who want to see it, watch the trailer. Now, of course, it is a story about a horse. But the thing is, the horse is named Spirit, and um, he's the leader of his herd, and at some point he goes out in the middle of the night, and he finds that people are camping there, and he's never encountered a human being before, but then when somebody actually sees him, they're trying to capture him, and so when he takes off running, they're still running after him to capture him. And when he gets to his family, he warns them to to leave. Now, when I say warn, I don't mean that his move actually, like, I don't mean like his mouth actually moves as he talks. It's nothing like Mr. Ed in that way, but now the narrator of Spirit is Matt Damon, and the songs um the songs of Spirit are performed by Bryan Adams. And the thing is that the songs sung by Brian Adams in the movie, they are actually Spirit's inner thoughts, his inner emotions of what he's thinking and feeling at that moment, throughout the movie. But yeah, there are some songs that you'll hear which are great. I love the songs. Anyway, I'm getting really excited. That's because I really love this movie, and talking about my favorite movies, it just seems very exciting to me because I can't help it when I go on and on talking about my favorite movies. I'm so sorry. Um, but yes, of course, he acts like a horse. There's no actually mouth moving, talking, nothing like that. But other than that, it is a really great movie, and it has this wonderful story. And it's a beautiful story. And but the thing is, he does get captured, but his family stays safe. And his herd, his family stays safe. And of course, along the way, now for those who want to see it, I'm not gonna mention the whole thing, but yes, let's just say the moment he gets captured, and then when he does break free, up until when he is captured again, but then he meets this female horse named Rain, falls in love, and but then when something happens again, and then he gets captured again, but this time he's pulling a huge train along with some other horses. But I'm gonna stop right there. But yes, as you can see, as he goes from uh, when he gets captured like a few times and breaking free, and then finally like just up until when he's free at the end, and he goes home, like you can see how each of those things that he went through were a challenge, and those things changed. And I think you can say those things made him realize and made him think, like, you know what, I'm not gonna let this bring me down, and that he's gonna do whatever it takes to get back home. And his character, like his personality, he's tough. He's a tough horse. He's brave, and he's of course he does have a soft side to him. Um, and as you can see when he falls in love with the female horse Rain, and you can just see how he's very defensive, very protective, and I just can personally relate to Spirit on that level with his personality, um, because I'm like that as well. I can be very defensive and protective to those that I care about, and of course I'll also defend for myself if I have to. If you know what I mean, like if depending on what goes on, or if someone says something, then I'll be like, oh, okay, no, you don't know who you're messing with. And that's just like what Spirit is. That's his, I say that's like his motto, like don't mess with me. And that's pretty much with me too. Like I would say the exact same thing. So, but yes, I'm not really saying I can personally relate to a horse by acting like one. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I can personally relate to Spirit of his personality, and how he's tough and brave and very protective and defensive, and he doesn't let anything get him down. And even when he is down, like even when he's sad, he still like gets up, he still stands tall, and he does what he has to do, and do what it takes to get home, and he does what he has to do because he doesn't let anything stop him. And so that's pretty much, those are the things I can relate to, like personality wise. So that's just pretty much what I'm just trying to say. But yeah, I just want to say, for those who haven't seen it, please watch it. Like, it's such an amazing movie, and I remember when I first watched it, not only did I can relate to it, like relate to his personality, you know, just like I said, not only can I relate to Spirit personality wise, but also even relate to the songs, because like I said, I'm sorry if I probably said that a little funny. As I mentioned, that the songs sung by Bryan Adams are Spirit's inner thoughts and his emotions of what he's thinking and feeling at that moment. So I can also personally relate to those songs as well, and even what he goes through in the movie, like how each thing he goes through is a challenge, and it's just like those are different changes in his life. So that I can relate to, metaphorically speaking. But yes, overall, it's just an amazing movie, and please check it out. And if you do watch it, let me know. And now, of course, I know for those who might ask me later about the new one that's out now, like, that one has nothing to do with this Spirit. That has, I don't know, I don't want to go on about that one, because that has to do with the TV show, and to be honest, I remember watching a little bit of it. It didn't really spark any interest at all, because it had no continuation after the movie. No, none whatsoever. So it's like, okay. And I'm sorry if I keep going on talking about each movie and about Spirit. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to make this short. Well, it's too late for short. It's almost gonna be like 15 minutes. Damn. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't think I ever said that, but yes, sometimes I do say that. But I had to say it in this case because this video is going quite long. Oh man, if you're still watching this, thank you, and I'm so sorry if I kept this really long. Damn it. Oh. Okay. Now, moving on, because I have 2 movies left to mention, and I'm gonna make it short, hopefully, if I can. So, now next is my favorite comedy movie. Now, this was also hard to choose because I have at least a few favorites. Yeah, that's the thing. I have like a few favorite comedy movies, and some of those are actually like Christmas comedy movies, and what I mean is like Home Alone, Home Alone 2, and The Grinch. I love those ones, but of course in this case it's Christmas movies, and we're nowhere near Christmas, so I feel like I have to maybe do that later when we're near Christmas, in December, so I'm gonna wait on that. But for those comedy movies that are non-holiday, non-Christmas movies, in this case, I feel like it was hard to choose because I kept thinking Clue, because I love Clue. But then I was thinking The Mask, because I love The Mask. But one really came to mind that I thought, well, why not? Because it is also a really great comedy movie, and that's Tommy Boy. Now, the thing is, it's such a great comedy movie. It's so funny, and it makes me laugh every time I watch it. Now, the thing is, I never actually grew up watching it, quite young, but now I do remember hearing about it when I was even going to school, but even then again, at that time, I still haven't seen it. But of course, there were other things going on that time, like school, doing homework at school. No, I'm sorry, at home. And then of course, I don't know, I think there was just other things that were just pretty much on my mind. So of course there are just certain things and certain movies I haven't watched and all that. But at some point I did finally watch the movie. Um, Honestly, I think the first time I watched it was, I'm sorry, excuse me, it was with my mom. It was, I'm trying to think, was it? No, I'm trying to think. It was 2 years ago. No, wait, what? Okay, wait, I'm trying to think. Hang on a sec. Okay, oh, sorry about that. I was actually kind of getting confused because I thought, was it 2 years ago or was it last year? Um, yeah, now I remember. It was actually last year. Yeah, it was last year in October. So, watched it with my mom the first time, and yeah, we both, you know, we were just like laughing, and yeah, there was just parts I couldn't help but to like laugh out loud at. And yeah, I just say it's just really great because not only you get a funny movie, but you also got a really good story to it where there's heart in the movie as well, and it can also can relate and connect with the characters, and that even with certain parts that go on. And the what? I'm so sorry. There's a gnat flying over my head, and I'm trying to, I'm saying what I'm saying here, and yeah, a gnat just flies over my head, and it completely interrupts me of what I was just saying, and it flies over my head. I'm okay, seriously, this gnat is being rude. My gosh, like I really hate bugs. I think it would have been more annoying if it was a fly. If it was a fly, it would have been buzzing, and I would have been so irritated that I would not stand it. But in this case, it's just like a little net flying over my head, and yeah, I can't stand that. Like I don't want any bugs flying near me. I'm so sorry if that completely interrupted of what I was saying. Um. Anyway, let's forget about the gnat. The gnat's not important. Me trying to do this tag video is because I'm trying not to keep it that long, and it is going long. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what the heck. Okay, okay, what was I saying? That interrupted me because I was saying something and it just flies over my head and I completely forgot what I was saying. Okay, okay, anyway, I think what I was trying to say, or I think what I was saying was that yes, you do get a funny movie, but also you got a great story where there's heart in it. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. That you got characters that you can relate to and connect with, and where you can even like feel them. Well, feel for them in the movie. like like if certain parts happen, depending on the situation, it's like either it's kind of like if they're happy, you feel happy for them. If they're sad, it makes you feel sad for them. If they're mad or upset in any way, then you feel for them in that moment because it's like you don't want to see them in that situation where they're sad or upset in any way, because you want to see them succeed. You want to see them doing what they can to achieve their goal or do what they have to do without any interruptions or without anything getting in the way of what they need to do. So yeah, that's what I was just trying to say. But yeah, I really like that it has both. Like it has humor and heart in this story of such a really great movie, and it's such a shame that we don't have any funny movies that are like that today. And yeah, the cast is great, and they're both just so funny, and yeah, they make me laugh so hard. Yeah, between David Spade and Chris Farley, they are amazing and they did such a really great job playing these characters. And their performances are really great and hilarious, especially things that they've said or certain things that they do in the movie. It's just so funny and yeah, like I said, it's just hilarious and I can't help but to laugh out loud at certain parts that are just so funny. And for those who haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And those who have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So it is now 56 minutes. Oh damn. Okay, last movie to mention, and that is my favorite musical movie. This is not a hard one at all because I have okay, I do have two different favorite musical movies, but the one that really comes to mind that I just really love, and that's The Phantom of the Opera, 2004. You know, with Emmy Rossum as Christine and Patrick Wilson as Raoul. Cause yes, Patrick Wilson, he was in the Insidious movies and the Conjuring movies, but before that he was Raoul, and he sang real good in this movie. And Gerard Butler as the Phantom, like he did very well, and I love his performance. And for those who haven't seen my review or popcorn chat video on Phantom of the Opera, please check that out because you'll hear more of how much I love this musical movie. Now, I'm gonna keep it real short, but just check that one out because I say a whole lot more and I just mention about the stories and a bit more, so please check that out. I'm gonna try to keep this short as I can. But yes, with the Phantom of the Opera, Joel Schumacher, who also directed The Lost Boys and Batman Forever, which is my favorite, superhero movie. Yeah, he also directed The Phantom of the Opera, the musical one. So yes, that is just my favorite because it's amazing. It's also quite beautiful, and even the scenery is quite beautiful to look at, and the costume designs and just everything about it. It's just, it really makes you feel like you're there at that time, at that time period in the movie where it takes place with the characters. And it also feels like, with those songs that come up, that, those songs, it really makes you feel like you're there and that somehow you're in that moment when they're singing those songs, and it feels like, it's just so well done, and it's just beautifully well done, and I love everything about it. So yes, it's just a really great musical movie, and like I said, I know I keep saying this with every movie, but yes, I love it. I love all of them. But yes, that is all for this tag video, and again, I'm so sorry that this video went on for so long. Like, I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it's because maybe I just kept talking about movies and all that, but I can't help it. I can't help to say which ones are my favorites from each genre and why, and just why I love them, and just how much I love each and every one of them for the way it turned out. And oh my gosh, now this is like an hour and 5 seconds. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to end it here. I've never recorded a video this long before. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I feel completely like I'm out of my mind. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here, and thank you, Martin, for tagging me in this tag video, and I'm so sorry if it went on for so long. Like, that was never my intention. It just happened that way, okay? I'm so sorry. Anyway, I really hope you all enjoyed this tag, and if you're gonna watch this, please grab a snack and drink and hold on tight and try to get through it. It was never my intention to be this long. I'm sorry again. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and that's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.